and welcome to Talking TSM, Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, the guide with the guidiest and the host with the hostessness into the world of TSM. Yeah, hostess. That's what's getting announced tomorrow. Just kidding. I don't know. I wish I knew. Or I guess it's today. Yeah. Wow. Today. Normally this is recorded on Thursday. Things got a little busy. I do apologize. Recording this Friday morning, right before the games start. So yay, excitement. But let's go through this. So quickest announcement yet, outside of the ones where we just skip announcements. Just go join the giveaway. Go check out the TGH Esports Twitter page or my own page. You can join in the giveaway. We are giving away a jersey of one's choice to one lucky fan. I'm assuming if you are listening to the Talking TSM show, then you are able to, well, understand that it's going to, I would love for it to be a TSM jersey. Like you could win a new TSM jersey, from the shop. So go in and enter. It is through Gleam, so there's a couple different ways for you to get the maximum amount of entries that you possibly can. So go do that. We're 3-0 for the summer. We're sitting in first place. We're 15-6. We are 9 games above 500, fam. Craziness. Absolutely craziness, and especially considering, and we'll go into this closer towards the end of the show, but it is crazy to see, just what some of these other teams are doing, especially compared to where they are in the standings. So I don't know, we'll talk about it later, but we're gonna hop right into the 3 keys to the game for all 3 of our games this weekend, which, if there was a weekend that I would say is supposed to be easy but could very easily be a trap weekend, then this would be it. This would be it, guys. We have 100 Thieves, FlyQuest, and the lovely but apparently terrible CLG this weekend. So yeah, there are a bunch of teams with question marks surrounding their first week of games, where 100 Thieves went 2-1. After a pretty tough loss, they were able to bounce back and get some big wins over good teams like Cloud9. I believe it was Cloud9. And then FlyQuest also, played pretty well this past weekend, improving to 2-1. They actually looked promising, which was good for them. Obviously, beating CLG wasn't that big of a deal. Losing the Dig was meh, and beating Evil Geniuses is apparently something that everybody can currently do, which is strange to say. But yeah, the standings definitely got mixed up. I will do that really quickly. For those of you who don't look on a regular basis, this might help you. So I'm going to read off the standings very quickly. TSM are in first at 15-6 with a 3-0 record in the summer. Remember, records carry over, right? So combined, the LCS will end up playing, let me make sure this is right, 45 games. Okay, we are 21 through right now, so we are just about technically closing in on the halfway point. Okay, this weekend we will hit the halfway point of both seasons technically. Cloud9 now sit in second, a game behind TSM at 14-7, going 1-2 last weekend. 100 Thieves tied for third with 2 other teams. All of them at 13-8. So 100 Thieves, Dignitas, and Team Liquid. 100 Thieves and Dignitas went 2-1. Team Liquid went 1-2. Evil Geniuses have dropped all the way down to 6th place, tied for 6th place, at 10-11, along with Immortals. They went 0-3, whereas Immortals went 3-0. Just shows you that one bad weekend can, really hurt your season, and one good weekend can really help it. In 8th place and working their way up, FlyQuest, they are now 8-13, 2-1 overall, or 2-1 from the summer. CLG 5-16, they went 0-3 last weekend, and then Golden Guardians did get a win last weekend over Cloud9 to start their season, their summer off, 1-2, and they are now 4-17. So, you got to remember, people are fighting for that 8th place spot right now, and there's a lot of conjecture around where's the cutoff. At least for these current playoffs, it would seem as though FlyQuest are going to be the gatekeepers. That said, if Evil Geniuses or Immortals have a rough weekend and FlyQuest has a good weekend, they're right back. They're right back in it. In general, I not everybody can go above 500. I still think it's a little strange that playoff teams are able to be there with negative records. The whole goal I appreciate is to send the best team there. So maybe if somebody gets really hot, they figure it out. Maybe FlyQuest is that kind of a team, but it's just strange. So, anywho, let's get into it. 100 Thieves, 3 keys to the game. The first one is going to be banning Karma. Abadage played Karma 3 times last weekend. And in the first game, he was meh. But the last 2 games, he showed the power of Karma and why she's so strong right now. And if you did not know this, Karma's very, very strong currently in the game. I wouldn't be surprised to see TSM try it out potentially this weekend. But against 100 Thieves, I would just ban it, because I don't know that Abadage is comfortable yet. And people on Twitter, or on, I think it was Reddit, were giving me shit because they're like, oh, Abadage and Karma, like, of course, Karma's, meta. So, Abadage, that has nothing to do with people being able to take advantage of him or whatnot. Like, no, you guys got to understand, Karma's like one of the safest champions to play in the game. She's got shielding forever. She can, stun you. She can do her little bursty damage that also slows you. I mean, she's got plenty of ways to survive nearly any fight. And so, and she's great for utility. And specifically, as we'll talk about here in the second point, she's great at buffing and keeping alive her teammates. So, it's a super safe pick for somebody who's maybe just not comfortable yet with the rest of his team, which is fair. I mean, he's only been there for maybe a month max, right? And that's not, as we saw last year, or last split specifically, there's no, like a month doesn't do it. It takes time. It takes sometimes a couple months. I mean, TSM have been practicing for a month. They got their butts handed to them in the lockdown or lock-in, whatever, Like, kind of crazy if you think about it. And so I want TSM to take advantage of this. Make him play something he may not be as comfortable with the team on. He's a good player. He'll be able to play his champion individually, but being able to be in sync with Closer on ganks and the rest of the team in team fights, Schalke was a very different team than this 100 Thieves team is. So I would argue that they are currently more talented than the one he was just on, and probably at least as talented, if not more talented, than the one that they had last year. So they might be able to adapt a little bit more to him, but I want to see us make him make a choice. Make him not just be able to fall back on the Karma, okay? Or I guess if worst case scenario, if he is going to play Karma, then pick something that we are confident is going to play well into it. Something that can, I don't know, be an annoyance. I really don't know what it would be. I'm not like somebody who plays mid Karma very often or has played that matchup very often. I have seen it in the bot lane. So in that context, it's very different. But again, she just seems safe. So it almost feels like it doesn't matter. So I'd rather just ban her. Anywho, moving on to point número 2. Dos. Sorry, bad. I don't know Spanish very well, if at all. So I apologize for that. But anyways, like so far FBI. So we're focused on FBI here. He's been playing poke and long range champions like Kog'Maw, Varus, Ezreal. Right? These are not champions that get up in your face. I think that TSM should grab Kai'Sa against him if it is available, or Tristana. But Kai'Sa, I think, works a little bit better because this allows them to get up in these champions' faces. Now Ezreal, it doesn't really matter too much because he can just arcane shift away. But for the Varus, for the Kog'Maw, should he play those, I think Kai'Sa is a very safe pick here because it's going to allow for Lost to jump in, press Q, and 2 hits and they're basically dead. I think it'd be a really smart counter. It allows for TSM to, unless if they play Poppy support randomly, it allows for TSM to get onto these carries before they can really sit back and do their damage. I know that she's not as strong as she was before, but I do think that this is still a good idea. So, it helps to make sure too that he can't get into the late game with a lead, and it's very clear that with the Karma pick, FBI is still their focus, and he's the one getting a lot of the kills. They're letting him, kind of play back and protecting him. Kai'Sa does not really allow them to do that. So, as soon as he's out of position or as soon as TSM are able to pull off some of the more protective or tanky members, then a Kai'Sa would be able to just jump right in and do the deed. Get done what needs to get done. So that's what I would like to see in the third key of the game. If FBI is going to continue playing these, let's punish him as well. Let's take that Kai'Sa, or again, if she's gone, then the Tristana. They likely can and won't ban both. Then let's just go right in and take them out. Third one here is Drake control, specifically getting early Drakes to control the pace of the match. 100 Thieves have always enjoyed controlling the pace of the match. Closers normally pretty good at objectives. And if they're going to continue to play late game with the FBI scaling all 3 of those champions, Varus, Ezreal, and Kog'Maw very much especially, really Ezreal too, and Varus mostly, they all scale pretty to very well. And so you don't want to give them also Drake pressure, because that's when you lose the game, right? When you're having to fight them on their terms, when they're able to poke you out, right, because they're already strong and they've got 2 or 3 Drakes and we have 1 or none, then it's not like that's a losing matchup for us. That is not a great thing for us. So I would prefer that we just really focus on trying to get Drake control early, especially against these ranged champions. Like, you can very easily push in an Ezreal, a Varus, a Kog'Maw, right? They're not hard to push in, especially if you play something like a Kai'Sa or a Tristana. As long as they're not doing, like double ranged, we might see Lulu in the bot lane or something like that. Then it would be a little bit tougher, but I would prefer that TSM, pick these champions to give them an advantage in the bot lane and allow them to have the pressure, which means that Huni is most likely, definitely planning on playing weak side at that point. I'd even almost like to see a gangplank from him come out again someday. I would be okay with that, as long as, Speak Up plays something a little bit more beefy. And then we try to get the Drake control. That's what I'd like to see. I would really like to see that type of stuff. So we'll have to see. Actually, Gangplank would be a good pick in general, just because if he's gonna play, Varus and specifically Kog'Maw, like, those are 2 champions that do not do well under the Cannon Barrage. So he wasn't on my champions to watch, but I actually think Gangplank is there. I think Gangplank can be played right now. It has been played in the LCS. maybe not to everybody's expectations, but I'm adding him to Champions to Watch, so Gangplank's on there. My other ones are Kaisa, which I already talked about, Karma, which for obvious reasons. And if, by the way, if we're not going to ban it, then let's just first pick it. Let's just take it. You could play her in mid, top, or bottom, as support. So just take her. It doesn't really matter. One of the three of them should be able to play her. And then lastly, Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao has made his way into the meta, and he's pretty strong. His new ability, his new W allows people to dash from like an eternity away. So I want to see them grab him, especially again if FBI is going to be playing these stationary AD carries. I think that there's a world where if you just punish FBI, 100 Thieves loses. And that's no disrespect to Closer, Abadage, or Someday. You also don't want to give Sunday something OP like Gwen. That's where he had his big pop-off game where we remembered, oh yeah, Someday can be a top laner in the LCS. I think Xin Zhao allows you to do a lot of things right now. He's got good disengage. He's got good damage. He's able to dive onto stuff. His clear's pretty good. There's just a lot of things that he brings to the table that, especially with his new ability, his changed ability, I would like to see TSM use that. I could see Spica being good on it. I haven't looked. I don't think I haven't heard anything about him playing a bunch of Xin Zhao, but that's all right. We move on. Oh yeah. I do predict TSM to win this one. I don't know how teams by the end of the weekend weren't just, I guess Abadaga didn't really play Karma that well until the second and third game, so you maybe think it might just be a one game thing. Before it's a trend. Now we're starting to see that it's becoming a trend. Nip it in the butt. Don't deal with it. Get rid of it. So I do anticipate 100 or TSM winning this game. 100 Thieves losing. Mostly just because I think that it's very easy right now to punish them in draft, and I would love to see TSM do that. Moving on, FlyQuest. 3 keys to victory for TSM, obviously. The first one is be prepared to fight in the side lanes. FlyQuest have gotten a lot of their kills in the side lanes. Their kill participation isn't particularly high, and it's because they're kind of fighting on their own terms in different ways. Palafox is trying to get picks and kind of skirmishing around, while Licorice is trying to split push and the 2v2 bot lane. There's just when you see a team that doesn't have like anybody above 70% in terms of their kill participation on the team, and yet they're 2-1, that means that they're winning a lot of solo or, skirmishes. Solo fights or skirmishes. And from what I can remember from their games, I'll be honest, I didn't go back and rewatch their games specifically like I do ours. I don't have time to rewatch everybody's games. But I do remember, especially with the Gwen, there was a lot of solo killing for Licorice, right? There was a lot of, you get the Gwen, you get the Silas. I think those were both in game 1, and they were able to take advantage. I mean, those are great champions for dueling and for skirmishing, like in all situations, and they're good for team fighting too. But they're just really strong individually. So I think that TSM need to come with a different mindset. They need to be prepared to fight in the side lanes, and they, something like a Nocturne, I think would be pretty nice here. Maybe even a Galio. Wow, first time I've said that in a while. I know he's not super duper meta, but he still, allows for the engage, the initiation, whatever you want to call it, while also being a beefy boy. I think he could be a nice pick here as well, truthfully. I wouldn't be surprised to see it, but just something that allows them, because TF's clearly out of the meta. You're not going to have that basically I can show up and be anywhere at any time kind of thing. You're going to have to play around it and be smart about it. So I really like to see TSM do that, specifically punishing Licorice, as he's going to probably be a little bit more aggressive. Second one is Spica needs to beat Jose Dioto to the punch. And what I mean by that is I would like, again, a lot of this is based around their kill participation. If Jose Dioto is not going to be in the right spots to have a higher kill participation, which his is somewhere in the 50s, Spica's, as we talked about on Monday, is in the 70s for the first time in a while. He did it during the playoffs, but still. The point remains, I want to see Spica giving us advantages and beating Jose Dioto to fights. I want him to be playing proactive. I want him to be thinking, okay, is this a fight we can take? Yes? No? Okay, cool. Going in, right? Is this a fight that we can, use this advantage to? Yes. All right. Oh, is Jose Dioto probably going to gank here? That is still beating him to the punch. When you can outthink him. And it's not that Jose Dioto's dumb or that it's easy to outthink him. It's just, I know that Spica is very cerebral. We saw it this past weekend. There are plays where he is already in the vicinity. Now it's not like it was before, where, I'll use Hooney as an example, although I think Hooney played very well last weekend. Where last weekend he's in the top lane and he's taking fights because he knows he can, because Spica is right there, clearing Gromps either clearing Gromp or, clearing Krugs. And I think that that's really important, to know where your jungler is and know where to take fights, and Spica also communicating that and being able to go in and being able to help his teammates. So I really like that, and I think that Spica can and will beat Jose Dioto to the punch. I think especially if Lee Sin is truly jungle meta, even if he's A or high B tier, somebody like Spica can really make use of that. And with his skill level, I'd love to see him being able to be all over the map. So, and I'd even like to see Nocturne. I know Nocturne is not the top pick, but this kind of helps the side lane conversation and allows Spica to really be impactful. So there's just a lot of ways right now in this meta for Spica to be impactful, and I personally really truly believe that this is a good meta for Spica, even on something like the Rumble, and I think we're going to continue to see it. I'd even love to see Set. Spoiler for keys to game 3. All right, third one. Take advantage of the passive bot lane. Johnson and Dreams are good. They look solid. But specifically, they play passive. Johnson likes to get into the late game. He's not somebody who's going to take a whole lot of chances in the early game, whereas we are. And so I literally cannot express this enough. This is a great opportunity for Lost, again, to continue to show his development. He had some positioning errors last week, sure. But he's also capable of making those huge plays that we saw, like the Tristana play, right, against Team Liquid, where, he takes advantage of tactical and gets on him, right? This is a chance for Lost and Sword Art to really push themselves to be a key to victory for TSM. And it's not that they haven't been in the past. Obviously, I talk about Lost and Sword Art all the time. Not as much Sword Art because it doesn't feel like the support meta is as impactful now as it might be in other metas. It's still obviously important, but this is this is an opportunity for Lost to continue to show his development and his growth. And I want to see him really, really take advantage of this passive bot lane. Be aggressive. Don't be aggressive to the point where you're diving under a tower with no way out, and hoping that you get the double kill, right? Be smart, but be aggressive, right? And understand that they are going to be passive. Call for Spica down. Call for Power Evil down. Don't let them scale. just get in their face and take them out. And I think we're starting to see that that's the way that Lost likes to play. There's not much scaling involved with the way that Lost plays. He likes to get in your face and deal damage and make cool plays. Power of friendship, man. Power of friendship. Here are my champions to watch for the FlyQuest game. Lee Sin. They've played a lot of Lee Sin lately at every position, mid and jungle. Wouldn't be surprising. I think they also took it top, if I remember correctly. So Lee Sin is a big pick for them. I would be fine with us banning it or just taking it. Again, if we can get it for Spica, I'd be cool with that. I don't really think Power of Evil is going to play it. I could see Huni pulling it out. I don't know if he'd be good on it yet, but hopefully he's been practicing. Other one I'm going to watch for is Ezreal. Guys, Ezreal's really strong right now. After watching what I saw last week, I started playing a little bit Ezreal myself. Holy moly. Divine Sunder is a really dumb item right now in the game, to be completely honest with you. And Ezreal just does so much damage and is able to heal and all this other crazy crap with it. It needs to get nerfed, but Ezreal specifically, this is his time right now. This is his time for the first time in a while. He is pick or ban, in my opinion, at least this week. So, would like to see us take advantage of him, but if not, another worthy ban. And then the Gwen. Obviously, Licorice really understands her. She's super strong in the meta right now. Just get rid of her. We don't know what Huni can do on her, and I'm sure he could play her very well. But we also know for a fact that Licorice can. And Licorice understands matchups. He was smart with his play, understood what he needed to do to be successful on her, and took advantage of it. So those are my 3 champions to watch for, either bans or picks, preferably bans for all 3. But we'll have to see. There's plenty of other champions that deserve to be banned right now. So you can't ban them all, sadly. Last game of the weekend, Sunday. Rematch of the century. Just kidding. We all know this is not really. God, this is the trap game, though. And, I do have to recognize the fact that FlyQuest do have a 2-0 against us right now. I am picking us to I'm going to pick us to lose this game against FlyQuest, to be completely honest with you guys. I think there's a curse against them, and I really hope that we never have to tiebreak against them. Thank God we are 7 games up on them right now, because if in the off chance we were tied with them for anything, I would be scared to death, because I don't know what it is, but Jose Dioto just does things against us. So, sorry, I'm jumping back to the FlyQuest game, by the way. I didn't give my official prediction. I do think we actually lose this game, which is what sucks, because this is what I'm talking about. These are 3 games that TSM should very much win, okay? The teams that I am afraid of are Dignitas, C9, and TL, and to a certain extent, 100 Thieves, okay? I'm not afraid of basically anybody else. And yet, because we're getting 100 Thieves early, I'm not as afraid of them. But FlyQuest scares me, and CLG are going to be out for blood, man, especially if they're 0-5 at that point. So I am going to pick us to get our first loss of the split against FlyQuest. It just seems like fate at this point. Maybe we can get them later on in the split. I don't know. I really hope there's no way that they are able to gain 7 games off of us anytime soon. But I don't know. It could happen, man. It could. Anywho, we're on to CLG. This team's not looking very good. It looks like CLG messed up in a big way. They could be on their way to the bottom. And it's sad, because these are... I think Finn is still young enough to where there's no way we should be writing him off. I actually don't think he's been very bad. I actually think since he's come to NA, he's been solid overall. I think he deserves a spot in his starting role. I just don't know about the rest of this team. I don't know what's going on with them. They looked so good heading into this split. They took some big wins off of C9 and TL. in the last, third of the spring split. They looked very comfortable in a lot of matchups. They seem to have a plan, and then they go 0-3. I mean, these are good. These are formerly good players. Broxa, Pobelter, Wild Turtle, Smoothie. I mean, Smoothie was always my biggest question on this team, and he's actually not been bad. So I don't really understand why they're so bad. But my first key to the game is you have to give them respect. They are still potentially dangerous. And if they're not going to play for anything else, they will play for pride. That's just who they are. And sure as hell, Brox is not going to let them just roll over and die. They're dangerous. We have to take them seriously. This is not like Golden Guardians where it's a bunch of rookies and we don't really have to worry too much about them. They'll make some good plays and they're not too bad, but there's no way that they're going to be able to take us out, right? That's how I felt about that one. With this CLG game, this is a true trap game if I've ever seen one. They're not good, but oh man, you underestimate them, and I could absolutely see them punishing us in a pretty substantial way. So, with that's key number one. Just take them seriously. Play this like you would a C9 or a TL. You don't maybe necessarily have to have the same sort of, energy or mentality about it, but you have to at least take them seriously like you would them. So, yeah, that's key number one. Key number two is Broxa has been picking some weird picks, man. Karthus, the Lilia, I believe it was the Morgana. Let me see. I'm pulling this up real quick right now, guys. This is why I had it up. Is the Nidalee. Okay, and he was involved in fights and everything. Karthus, they never got a chance, obviously, to really get into the late game, but this is strange. Nobody else is playing these champions right now, and I don't understand where all of a sudden Broxa is feeling like, hey, these are the champions that I want to play. Sure, Nidalee got played. Okay, she got played 3 times so far this year, but he is the only person to play Karthus and Lilia at all. And the only other picks that were picked once last week were the Darius, which was totally out of left field. I know that it can be okay in solo queue, from what I've been told, but I don't know. I don't think it's that great. It looked pretty bad. And then the Viego, which I think can be played a little bit more in the jungle, and I think might get flexed more once people start to figure out good counter picks to him in the mid lane specifically. So, he's playing champions that nobody else is. He's not playing the Rumbles, the Udyrs, the Xin Zhaos, the Lee Sins, the Volibears. Those are much more common. I don't think we're going to see a lot of Lilia. I think Karthus can be played, but I don't know that we're going to see him when you have junglers like Udyr and like Xin Zhao and like Lee Sin and like Volibear that can punish him, in a lot of super not fun ways. So, I don't know what he is thinking. This whole team has been very strange with their picks so far. They are playing a lot of off-meta stuff, and I don't know if it's that they're just like, hey, we're veterans. We can play kind of whatever we want and be comfortable with it because we think our comps work well, or if they're just trolling and testing some stuff out because it's early in the split. I don't know, but hey, let me tell you, CLG, you guys want to make the playoffs, you're 3 games back now on FlyQuest, and they look like they're on their way up. So you're going to have to find a way, and then the team above them, they are 5 games ahead of you. So you're going to have to start stringing together some wins, because I can tell you right now, Immortals, they look solid, and Evil Geniuses are going to figure it out. They're not going to drop 0-3s very often. You have 8 weeks, man. You got to start making some picks here. So for me, If Broxa keeps playing these weird, off-meta jungle champs or ones that are just meh, Like, TSM need to just punish the hell out of him. Every time. He pulls out the Lilia. All right, time to go super engage, right? Invade her jungle. Don't let her have anything. Sure, maybe she gets Raptors at level 1. Whatever. We're going to be in her jungle. We're going to be in her face, right? We are not going to allow her to have agency in the game. Same thing with Karthus. Honestly, with the Nidalee too. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't get it. So, yeah, we need to just punish him for it. Last thing is, I want to see them play through PoE. Pobelter is very much, as we all know, not the same guy that he was once before. And it's time for PoE to have a carry game. I want to see it. He makes plenty of incredible plays and carries. I do not think I'm not saying that. But I want to see him carry from step 1 of the game. This is a great opportunity to do this. Really put POB, the notorious POB, in his place because you're PoE. Right? It's a bad joke, but the sentiment remains. Power of Evil is a solid player. And I want to see him win a lane and punish somebody. I want to see him be oppressively good. I know that's not always his style, and that's fine. I get it. But I want to see him do this. This is the opportunity to do it. It is. I want to see him on something new or unexpected. I called for this in the TL game. He did it. I'm calling for it now. It's obvious at this point that TSM coaching staff is listening. I don't know who's doing it, but somebody's listening because I got some of the stuff right last week, a pretty good amount, actually. I want to see it this game, guys. I want to see it. This is a great opportunity for him to do it. Continue to push him out of his comfort zone. I'm hearing that is what Bjerg is doing. Bjerg, do it. Continue. Make him do it, especially against Power or Pobelter. This is the time. All right, here are my champions to watch for. Ezreal, again. Just Wild Turtle's a solid Ezreal. I just think that he could be really good, especially into this team. They like to play their tanky champions. They're a bunch of old school guys in terms of the way that the game is played now. Now I think Ezreal, Tank Buster Ezreal is the way to go with that. So why the heck not? Silas. Silas is one. I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds here. How many games has Silas played in his, or how many games has PoE played of Silas in his career? All right, that wasn't 10 seconds, but I'm running out of time. I got some other stuff I got to do today. So, 0. 0 is the answer. The man has never played Silas in a professional setting. And again, I understand that's not his norm. But if he's able to play Viego, he needs to be able to play Silas. Silas is so freaking important. He's a great counter pick to a lot of different champions. He's extremely powerful. He can take over games. He is just a high-impact mid laner when he is available to be played. And guess what? Power of Evil needs to be able to play that champion. So I would love to see him very soon because he is in the meta. He can be played. There will be plenty of opportunities for Silas to be played. I want to see TSM do it. Make Power of Evil play his first Silas game. He looked better on Viego as it went on. He can do it with Silas too. Last one is Set. I don't care where he gets played. I don't care if it's mid lane, top lane, support, jungle, whatever. TSM found a lot of success on Set last year. I want to see them do it again. He is in the meta. He is available to be played. He just has so much playmaking potential. He fits a lot of different styles and team comps. He's very strong in multiple builds. He's honestly one of my favorite champion designs in general. I think he's pretty balanced in most situations. And his ability to be high impact without being overpowered. He doesn't have a dash or anything like that. Like, he's just strong. He's a good champion. I want to see us pull him out. It's time. We had a week of where we did our own thing, and we do have good comps in that way. I want to see us do it. while I do believe this is a trap game for us, I do think we win. I just don't think CLG are there yet. I don't care even if they do win the first 2 games and look incredible doing so. They're just not there yet. So TSM, I'm predicting a 2-1 weekend for TSM. Again, I do think they lose to FlyQuest just because it'll be weird and they'll just lose. I don't anticipate a 3-0 is what I'm saying. My prediction is FlyQuest. I could see them randomly dropping a game to either one of these teams. I truly don't, knocking on wood again, see them dropping, more than 1 game this weekend. Quick notes here. While it's only 1 weekend in, TSM do look poised to make noise. This is the time. I didn't even mean for that to rhyme. But this really is the time for us to take advantage. I said it on Monday. I really feel it again right now because all these teams, every team below us has made a move. King is in for Sven with Cloud9. Abadage comes in to take over for Demonte and Ryoma. Soligo's apparently out. I don't understand this one from Dignitas. They are making a push right now. And yet they are going to take out their mid laner who's performed pretty well, honestly, for Yasui. I haven't heard anything that he's been great or anything. They're both the same age. I don't get it. I do not understand this one. Very, very much so. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he, blows everybody out of the water, and then it's like, sorry, Soligo. They said they were, only making the change just to watch some stuff, to give Soligo some help, whatever. And I'm like, I know that Dignitas have a tough weekend, so maybe they're just trying to save his confidence from getting just his absolute ass kicked. I don't know. But, yeah, Dig. Weird decision. Then Jenkins for Alfari. Apparently the rumor is, or somebody said something where it's like Jenkins is only going to play for the first month. And then Alfari's coming back. Are they just giving him a vacation? I don't know, man. And then Evil Geniuses. Bringing in Danny. Danny was certainly not the reason why they went 0-3. He actually looked pretty good last weekend. But, 5 of the top 6 teams, all of them except for TSM, have made a change. They're clearly not comfortable with their roster, or they're trying to test out their players and see what's going on. And so, real quick, I want to address this. There was a tweet out about Parth and something about potentially a roster move or whatever. I did more research last night. It feels very trolly. It doesn't feel like it's real. Now, let me make sure I'm not saying this and then there's a tweet about it. Nope, not yet. It is, like 4 or 5 in the morning over on the West Coast, but I don't get it. Please give me a few minutes to rant here. I really don't see where TSM, first off, would decide to make a change. I just don't see it. Hanser hasn't looked particularly great. He's fine, but Huni's looked really strong. So it's not like you need to try to be able to sell Hanser or anything else. From the video that they made, recently explaining their academy process and their amateur process, which I really liked, by the way, it almost felt like Hanser was there to be a coach. It almost felt like this was the next step for him, was that he was going to end up being a coach for TSM. It did not feel like he was there anymore because they're still putting him on branding and all this other stuff. Like, this feels like the twilight of Hanser's career. The way that they're playing it out. Like, you look at it and you're like, okay, they're not going to pull him up for Huni. I think it's clear at this point. I think they talked to him. He's on merchandising stuff. He's been in a bunch of videos, all this stuff. And they know that we love him. I would love to see him one day with his bandana. I think if TSM gets like a 5-game or 3 or 4-game lead or something like that, and they want to bring him up for 1 game, sure. I don't care. That's fine. I would love to see him wear the headband again. That would be awesome. That was one of my favorite. I just loved that he did that. I thought it was just very cool of him, for the time. When I was getting into, the LCS, like really, really getting into it. So, there doesn't seem to be a move there. There was some rumor, or somebody said something about Hyper. They're not they would be so unbelievably dumb to take a guy who's barely even played any games on Academy, not looked great in some of them, and give him an opportunity against LCS talent. And by the way, stunt part of the development of Spica. Like, you make these moves, you gotta understand, when you make these moves, they are confidence killers, regardless of if there is a real reason behind them or not. So you don't do that. You're not gonna. Sword is clearly not ready. I mean, I know they probably want to figure out what they have in him, what they can potentially sell him for, but Sword looks pretty bad in some games, guys. He is not there yet. He's just not there yet. He'll get there. He's still very young and has time, but he's not there yet. You don't bring him up. You don't bring up a player if they're not ready. So he's not ready. You don't do that. Cody Sun is the only one, maybe, because he has tried to hard carry that academy team multiple times over, and I understand why they might be tempted to do that. But again, for Lost was like, he's been getting interviews. He is clearly making plays. He is getting better at the game. At this point, even though, again, Cody Sun, friend of the show, I don't think that he adds enough or potentially what TSM would want. I do, by the way, I do fully believe that Cody Sun is the 6th player that they will take to Worlds with them, by the way. Fully believe that. 100% believe it. I would be shocked if it's anybody else. So he probably knows that. He's probably happy with where he's at right now because, he was their 6th player at playoffs. I imagine he'll be there for Worlds too, but that does not mean that that loss should be swapped out, even if it's just to test things out, see how things go, blah, 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 blah. No, screw that. And you're not obviously doing Sword Art. He's been paid too much. That's just not going to happen either. So apparently it didn't matter for Alfari, but I'm just telling you, it's just an unwise decision. So there's really no reason why they should do this. And I don't understand why the rest of the LCS is. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. In a lot of these situations, I just don't get it. Now, maybe Sven was having problems with Cloud9. They threw really hard, and he played his ass off. He was pretty solid at MSI, while the rest of his team was kind of messing around and making some pretty bad mistakes. Sure, he had his problems, but man, during that group stage, dude, he and Vulcan, they carried really hard. I mean, really freaking hard. Along with Fudge, obviously, but like, Fudge had some okay games. They were consistently playing very well. So maybe that's what tilted him. For 100 Thieves, they needed a new mid laner. That's the one move I 100% get. Totally understand it. I like Demonte, but if you have the opportunity to get somebody like Abadage, you take it. Just straight up. For Dignitas, really don't understand this one. This one has like a 5% understanding for me. Don't understand it. Not at all. Alfari, clearly, again, something else was going on. Maybe he did or said something after the 100 Thieves game or after the TSM game when they lost that they were really like, okay, this guy's tilted. He needs his month-long vacation, even though he literally just had one. I don't know what it is. I mean, you pay him all this money to come over here, and then you're like, hey, let's play Jenkins. Like, I remember Jenkins, an amateur. We played him. He's fine. He's not bad. But you're going to put him up in the LCS right now when you're trying to win games? I mean, seriously, they go 1-2 again this weekend, guys. They go 1-2 again this weekend, and there's a chance they are sitting alone in 7th place in the LCS at 14-10. No, that's not true. Sorry. That's a lie. Sitting alone in 5th place. Yeah. Sitting alone in 5th place. And potentially 4 games behind TSM if we sweep the weekend again. I mean, I don't understand it. These records carry over. This is not like the summer before. It's not like, yeah, you have 27 games. It doesn't matter. Guys, being 4 and 5 games behind a team, that's a lot. Even with 27 games. I mean, every week still matters. You're still playing 9 weeks. If you pull in Jenkins for one weekend, sure, it's not the end of the world. If Alfari's back this weekend, fine. I hope that whatever they needed to do, TL were able to do. I don't personally care. I'm frustrated. I just don't understand the decision making in this league a lot of times. And so, yeah, you indulged me enough. That's my rant for the weekend. I really hope that TSM don't make any changes. I don't think they're going to. I think they're trolling everybody else for being stupid and making dumb decisions. G2 was doing the same thing. They had Mickey X read off something about, him becoming the jungler, and I think it was the jungler, yeah, and and Yankos was bad, or something like that. It was pretty funny. You should watch it, but which they start up. LEC starts here in a couple hours, but yeah, that's my rant there. Quick Academy and amateur update. Academy went 1-3 again this weekend. Like I said, they are struggling big time, guys. They do not look very good. Just straight up. Now, 100 Thieves are probably the best Academy team, in my opinion. I truly believe Tenacity, Kenvi, Luger, Poom, and to a certain extent, Ryoma. I believe that all 5 of those players will play again in the LCS, or will play for the first time in the LCS, especially Tenacity, Kenvi, and Poom. I know Poom came up. He wasn't totally ready yet, but oh man, that is a very solid team. You will see Tenacity in the top lane sometime, I think even next year. And I know that you will see Kenvi in the jungle at some point. If Closer struggles at all, and I mean like at all, they could bring up Kenvi. I don't think they do that again. I really think that 100 Thieves are about to be sold off. I think a lot of them are going to be broken up. If I'm a new team, if I'm a new team, spoiler alert, I wish the expansion was coming next year. I don't think it is. But if I was a new team, if I had the opportunity, right, if in my dream scenario, if I had the money to and I could buy CLG's spot, right, I would start with probably at least 2, maybe 3 of those players on my roster. At least Tenacity and Kenvi. First things I would do. I don't even care if my team sucked for the first year. I would grab all the young players who have a ton of potential and just throw them, all 5 of them, on a roster and figure it out from there. Because that's how you build a really solid franchise. You sign all of them to 4-year deals and you just go ham, man. You just go all in. That's how good, by the way, some of those players are going to be. So, yeah, amateur or Academy lost. I don't know how they're going to figure it out yet, but I watched a couple of those games. They were pretty bad, man. They were pretty bad. Amateur should be starting up again here soon. They're still out, from the tournament. Weirdly enough, none of the amateur teams from the LCS won, but a lot of the former LCS players did win in terms of their standings. So the top 4 teams, I think, in the first Challenger Rising thing were top 4 teams were all non-LCS amateur teams, and they were mostly made up of former LCS or LCS Academy talent. So there's still that curve there where those kinds of players are going to have the advantage. But I think as the season and as next year and everything starts to really roll on, I think some of those players, will start to kind of find their way out. Because not that I want them to. I don't want anybody not to succeed. It's just if the whole point of amateur is to find young talent, not talent that's been recycled, then, we need to kind of also process out those older / already known talents. So, yeah. If you like this show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment if you're watching on our YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss another episode. Make sure to go sign up for that giveaway, fam. Go get yourself the best opportunity to get a TSM jersey from us. Like I said, I'd love to buy a TSM jersey for you guys because I might just buy one for myself at the same time. Let's continue to make this the #1 TSM podcast on all podcasting platforms. Please leave a review if you get a chance. I really appreciate those. Share these with your friends. That's part of the giveaway, is sharing. So share this with your friends. I would really appreciate it. You can find the official tweet on my account at TGH Robert Haynes. Give me a follow if you don't mind. I'll follow you back. Seriously, I do. And at TGH Esports. We also normally follow back too. So head to thegamehouse.com to our TSM page. You guys will see I did my power rankings this week. Where do you think I put TSM? Not going to tell you. You'll have to go look. But with that, thanks for tuning in. The show, once again, comes out on Mondays and Thursdays. It's still exclusively for your TSM ear holes. I'm Robert Haynes, and this has been Talking TSM. See y'all on Monday.